As we are closing in to the end of the 2023 campaign, we kick off the 2024 iRacing season this week, and a lot of things are up for grabs here in the SSRL Truck Series as we get to see the brand new and improved oval updates here as we watch the NASCAR Camping World Trucks battle it out here as the SSRL Truck Series is live on Grid Vision from Phoenix Raceway. Good evening, everyone. I'm Taylor Burris. Alongside me is Nick Stein. Our producer tonight is the great Austin Derbyshire as we get set to go 112 laps around this mile oval. Nick, a track that hosts the NASCAR championships for the past few seasons and will continue to do so going into 2024. It's a unique track that provides some excitement, but we'll see how these truckers handle it here tonight.
Oh yeah, Phoenix is just an amazing track to drive, and for starters, tonight's gonna be a race where it's an odd feeling. A lot of guys are going to be going into this race almost blind because, as you did mention, with the 2024 Season 1 update that just released here, I believe it was yesterday, the Oval Refresh Phase 1 was released. And just a little bit of in layman's terms, what that means is basically the track is going to behave a lot differently now when it comes to how like the weather, the temperatures, and all that fun stuff is going to be basically affecting the track. So these guys are really going to have a tough test tonight to be able to determine how the oval refresh is going to work and how you're going to be able to race, because no one's really been able to test this as we take a look at the championship points here.
Yeah, currently at the top of the championship is Brandon Edstrom. Blair Holloman is in second. And then, of course, Philip Henry is in your top three right now. Those are the three championship favorites. A couple of others still in the hunt as well. Kendall Leverin as well in the fourth position. Raymond Root in fifth. So you're pretty much looking at everyone inside the top six having a shot at the championship. But, Nick, as you pointed out about that brand new oval refresh, this is phase one. And for those of you who are kind of curious what this means is, it's bringing a more dynamic racing experience on the oval racers. And of course, in particular, you'll notice how the whole field has been running that same line over and over in most of the oval races prior to this Phase 1 update. What iRacing is hoping for is for drivers to now go and try different lines around the racetrack. So instead of seeing drivers stuck on the bottom of the racetrack, they're hoping with this first phase of the update that drivers will stick to maybe the middle groove, the top side of the racetrack. And at a track here like Phoenix, it's a little bit of a hit and miss. But maybe going into turns 1 and 2, we will see drivers utilizing up against that middle to upper groove compared to being right at the yellow line or underneath the yellow line.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to mention that Phoenix is going to be a little bit trickier of a track to be able to test out those different lines that you can really run. But as you said, you can definitely use that middle line through turns 1 and 2. So we'll have to see if people actually try and test out that middle line. But I do think these guys are really just going to be doing everything they can to learn as much as they can about how this Phase 1 Oval Refresh is going to work. So tonight's going to be really interesting. I'm really interested to talk to some of these drivers and figure out what all they have learned throughout the night, especially our top three at the end of the race tonight. So yeah, like I said, things are going to get very, very interesting.
It's going to be exciting to see how the action is happening here tonight. We're happy to have you with us here on Grid Vision as we look forward to seeing what other exciting happens will be happening here throughout the rest of the 2023 season as we look forward to seeing the excitement of tonight's racing action here. Practice is just wrapping up here and finishing up. We should be seeing the drivers getting ready for single lap qualifying for our competitors.
Yeah, the single lap qualifying is going to be really interesting because according to some people, there's already some sort of iRacing cheese already starting to make its way into the official races. As I was talking with Brandon Edstrom a couple of days ago, right after this update had released, and he'd already said that he had figured out what the strategy was for qualifying to get as fast as possible. Of course, you take a look at the practice times right now. Patrick Gitter topping the boards. A brand new comer here to the SSRL Truck Series. He is a rookie. This is his first race in this league, so he is definitely showing his pace tonight with a 26.183. But as I was saying, things are going to be interesting for qualifying. This is going to be one of the more exciting qualifying sessions, I think.
Yeah, great drive right now for this as drivers' meeting is about to begin here. We'll give a quick rundown of your top 5 after practice. It is, of course, Patrick Gitter, Robert Lorenz, Scott Healy, Mike Burnett, and Raymond Root, your top 5. And looking through the entire field, your top 17 separated by less than a second. So it just shows how close the field is. About 7/10 of a second separates the fastest driver all the way to Alan Pajara in 17th position.
Yeah, Alan Pajari, he was one of those last week, was his debut race here in the SSRL Truck Series, and he was actually quite fast until he got involved in a later wreck, so I don't think he's trying to show his hand too early here, as he is about 4/10 of a second off the next driver of Rob Yost Jr., so, but one thing I have noticed with this over refresh is fields are a lot closer. It feels like it feels like the skill gap really got minimized with this update, and it's not as hard anymore to really be fast, if that makes sense. I know that sounds like a bad thing to say because there are a lot of skilled drivers in this league, but it really feels like that these guys are going to have a lot harder of a time really showing who's fast and who's slow here.
We'll wait to find out and see how the run goes throughout this race. Of course, there is a stage break at lap 56, so we'll see how the drivers negotiate leading up to that point of the race.
Yeah, so right now, driver's meeting is going on. Should just be a couple more minutes left in this driver meeting, and then we'll be able to get into that qualifying session. I know we're both just raring to go for this qualifying session because we're going to get to see the fastest drivers in this league be able to, quite in essence, do what they do on a daily basis, which is just be as fast as possible and really try to cement their legacy within the Spartan Sim Racing League.
Exciting to see here as we will take a look at what's to come for the rest of this week. Currently, right now, we will be quiet as the rest of this week, but as for those of you who saw here this past week on our social media, we will be back in 2024 for the NASCAR iRacing Series on Friday nights, and starting in 2024 later on with the NASCAR Open Series of the B and A Open, we will be bringing in to you Monday night top split coverage. So we're looking forward to seeing that happening here later on. And of course, if you are interested in wanting to be a part of our great company, make sure to go check us out on facebook.com/gridvision to see if you have any opportunities with either broadcasting or your league wants to have a chance to be broadcasted on our network, as we have great other exciting news to come in here later on, as we'll have a couple of more events later on in the month of December.
I tell you, one I'm really looking forward to is the Snowball Beer Brawl on December 16th. Me and Brandon Edstrom, who is a driver in this league, are going to be on the call for that one, and it's going to be an absolute blast. Of course, that one being a rated R broadcast, so don't expect any kids to be watching that one, but that's one I'm definitely looking forward to, as I believe it's actually next Saturday. I do believe so.
Yes, indeed. And also, Tuesday, December 19th will be the first event of the real-life racing series, the Stars Championship Series, utilizing Formula 3 and Formula 4 cars at Watkins Glen. So tune in. That'll be about a once-a-month series for the next few months. So tune in on Grid Vision and the Stars Championship Series for all the information later on. Of course, Austin Derbyshire will be the producer, and very own championship competitors of Emery Lida and Alexander Searle will be on the call for that event in next week, or a couple of weeks, I should say.
Yes, we have officially moved over into qualifying, so it looks like qualifying should be getting started here soon. Of course, the way qualifying working in this league is the slowest drivers in the practice session are going to be the first ones to hit the track. So in this case, it would be the 34 of Alan Pajari, the 83 of Robius Jr., and the 10 of Blair Holloman going to be the first cars on track.
You'll now lining up as Alan Pajara is coming out on the track in the number 34 Big Gut Chevrolet, as he gets himself lined up waiting to get released by the officials to head out onto the track. Of course, last week, Alan Pajara, you said, had his debut season, so looking to see what he can do here for his second attempt of a run.
Yeah, and the others, of course, being Rob Yost and Blair Holloman, as we said. So I think they're just waiting on driver meeting to finish, which I believe it just did finish. So looks like we should be getting going here soon. So, yeah, expecting a very interesting qualifying session here. And honestly, usually we're used to seeing who's going to be fast and who's going to be slow based on where you are in qualifying. But with this oval refresh, it's kind of an unknown. Like I really don't know if going out first is going to be an advantage or going out last is going to be an advantage. So looks like a lot of people have a lot of things to learn.
We'll see how it plays out as we wait for Alan Pajara to head out onto the circuit. Part of the Texas region as he is getting ready to go. Of course, we see the Longhorn logo on the back of his Big Gut Chevrolet. Of course, Texas had a pretty good year in the college football season this so far, as we'll look to see them trying to make the Final Four in the college football playoffs.
Horns down. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, Longhorns, they beat my Red Raiders pretty good last week of the season. It was quite depressing to watch, but I do wish them luck in the college football playoff. They are from Texas, so I kind of have to cheer for them. I hate to say that, as I know a lot of my friends who are Texas fans are going to make fun of me for that. So, yeah, good luck to them in the college football playoff, and I hope they rot in the SEC. That's all I got to say.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I mean, my Florida Gators did not much better, and I live in Texas, so imagine the irony of that. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, all you had to say was Florida Gators, and I immediately started chuckling.
Exactly. Exactly. Trust me, I have not felt well about the Florida Gators for quite some time.
I mean, if you want to take a look at another sport, the Florida Gators did knock out my Red Raiders in the Super Regional last year in the College World Series. So at least you have that to look forward to.
I do. Maybe. Hopefully one day we'll finally have a decent football team.
Oh man, you're like the Cowboys peaking in the 90s with the Florida Gators there.
Well, for me, it was the early 2000s.
Okay, that's true. It was about 10 years later, but you know what I'm getting at here.
Yes, indeed. As we're waiting for Alan to finally be released out on the track.
Not sure as to what the holdup is here. I believe the in-race admins may be dealing with some issues when it comes to the lineup. I believe they're trying to set the lineup is what they're doing right now for the qualifying order. So
no, I think it's a. All right, here he goes. There he goes. Finally, I think he couldn't hear over the all team, so he had to wait for race control to give him the go ahead. So there he goes out onto the track.
Of course, Alan Pajari, as we said, making his SSRL Truck Series debut last week at the where were they last week? I forgot where they were last week. Chicagoland. There we go. They were at Chicagoland. I can remember. My brain works. I promise. But making his debut last week at Chicagoland Speedway, he had a pretty decent race, as I said, but unfortunately got caught up in some extracurricular activities towards the end of the race. So he's looking for a much better showing than what he originally had. And you know, you are right. We're seeing some people maybe flirting with that middle line for just a moment, at least in turns 1 and 2. But this is going to be where it's going to get really tricky, is heading down into turns 3 and 4, as the truck seems to get a bit light for some drivers, and especially coming up off the corner, it gets really light. But here comes Pajari to set his first time lap. He set a 26.688 for his first lap, so we'll have to see if he can improve on that second lap. But taking a look at Blair Holloman here, that 10 Pennzoil machine. Looking real nice with that 10 truck.
Yeah, Blair Holloman currently trying to work his way through in the number 10 Toyota Tundra. Of course, Blair Holloman is one of those drivers in contention for the championship, as he will set the new fastest time, a 26.436. Alan Pajara improves on his lap time with a 26.569. Good enough, though, for P2 at the moment.
Yeah, Blair Holloman was he was in third place in points heading into last week at Chicagoland, but he had a bit of a rough race at Chicagoland, and he lost a lot of positions. I believe he was involved in one of the first wrecks of the night, and unfortunately that, for lack of a better word, ended his race, and he just wasn't able to improve from that. And he's going to go and improve on that 26.4 with a 26.423, and that's going to end off our first group for qualifying.
Yep, 93 is rolling off. Christopher Burnham as well. David Fuge Jr. is out on the track right now, the number 11 machine. Currently, he's sitting 7th in the championship right now. Currently has 2 top 5s for the season, 4 top 10, as he comes around to start his first flying lap, and we'll see what he can try and do here today.
Yeah, you're seeing part of what the difference in strategy when it comes to qualifying is the iRacing cheese, as I like to call it, as a lot of people seem to be running a lot higher, especially in turns 3 and 4 coming to their second lap, as you're going to see Dave Hughes do it here. He's going to get up as close to that wall as he can and get a really good run coming off the corner, and that's what a lot of people are doing now with the over refresh. Really, you didn't see that much in the trucks previously, as you would only really see that in the Cup car. And here's another rookie in the series, Dakota Jorgensen, has not made a start yet this season, and he's looking like he's coming to his first time lap as well.
Coming out of turn number 3 and 4, he's going to get the white flag here and set the first time a 27.03. Christopher Burnham also sets a 27.05, so not anywhere near the times they were setting in practice for the time, so they got a lot of work to do. As here comes the 93 of Christopher Burnham. He will get the checkered flag, and he goes up to P2, 26.457.
And last in this group is going to be the 24, Dakota Jorgensen. He's going to be coming off of turn 4 here. Lap time is going to be a 26.367. Top of the boards for the 24, Dakota Jorgensen.
New fast time for the rookie here for tonight's action, as we now wait to see the next group of drivers heading out onto the racing circuit. Next up will be, I believe, the 91 machine, along with the 78 of David Duke, and Corey Saucier will be next up.
Yeah, first car in this group, the 91 of Thomas Wolfe, as you mentioned. But I do believe he was running in about the top 10-ish area at Chicagoland last week, and he's actually going to get into the wall here, so that's pretty much, in essence, going to ruin his first lap, unfortunately, because you need a really good run coming off of turn 4 to really set up for a really good lap. And here, I believe this is the 78 of David Duke. No, excuse me, that's the 33 of Corey Saucier coming off of turn 4 to start his first lap. And you're seeing a lot, like I said, you're really seeing that iRacing cheese track coming into play here. People really running up next to that wall to get as good of a run as they can as possible onto their fast lap.
As the 91 machine of Thomas Wolfe set a time a 26.792, as he did scrape the wall. You see a little bit of damage there on the 91, as David Duke jumps to the top of the leaderboard. New fast time, 26.36 flat, as he is definitely setting the pace here, as the 91 machine of David Duke will get the checkered flag, will improve on his time at 26.351. So from scraping the wall to pole position for the EPI Chevrolet.
That's a 91 of Thomas Wolfe with that 351 there. And last in this group, Corey Saucier in a 33 off of turn number 4. Gonna set a 26.225. Top of the boards for Corey Saucier. What a lap.
We're seeing closely into the lap times of those of the fastest practice time charts. So we'll see how this plays out for the rest of the field as they come out onto the track. Next up, I believe, is going to be the driver of Brandon Edstrom, PB Henry, and Dustin Hall.
Yeah, we're starting to get into the top of practice times as Philip Henry and Dustin Hall being allowed to go in front of Brandon Edstrom there. So this is going to be our second group of qualifying drivers here. As here comes Philip Henry, PB Henry, to start his first lap. It looks like he may be taking it a little bit slower here, really trying to keep the tire temps under control. Another driver we're seeing here in the 74 of Brandon Edstrom. He was feeling really confident with the over refresh heading into this race, so looks like he's wanting to have a very good race here and hopefully cement a stronger death hold on that championship lead that he already has.
Yeah, Philip Henry, part of the Legacy Academy group, having a good run right now this season. We'll keep an eye to see how he's going to be able to improve. But looking over Philip Henry, he's currently third in the championship, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s out of the 9 starts. So pretty balanced season for the most part.
Yeah, he's had a really consistent season, and minus a couple of bad races here and there, mainly Daytona and Chicagoland. Philip Henry has been at the top of the timing board, so he's been one of those that has just been Mr. Consistent throughout the season. I like to call him Kevin Harvick, as here goes PB Henry with that 26.215, going to put him at the top of the boards. Fastest lap so far. Dustin Hall getting ready to come and start or finish his time. 26.173 for Dustin Hall. Times are falling quickly.
Here they Raymond Root going to be asked to come out onto the track as Brandon Edstrom goes to P9. So really struggling for speed as he's going to bring it down below the circuit and call it hit quits on this qualifying attempt.
I believe he may have had a rough start there to his second lap. So not the lap the championship leader wanted there, but still a pretty good starting position. I call it any position in the top 10 is a good starting position in my eyes because you're out of the hornet's nest that is usually from about 10th on back. So I think if you could survive that first green flag run that we usually see in these races, especially at these mile and a half tracks, I think you'll be just fine and good to go. But right now, watching the 39 of Mike Burnett start he's actually on his qualifying run right now. Or no, he's actually coming to start his qualifying run.
Keeping an eye on the rest of the field here as we ride on board with, I believe, that is going to be the driver of Mike Burnett in the number 39 from Waddington, New York.
Coming off of turn 2, going to get a little bit hairy there. It looks like he's keeping it somewhat straight, as it looks like a lot of people are really using that second lap to set their fast times, as Raymond Root with the 27.077 on his first lap. Mike Burnett with the 27.292. Yeah, it looks like everyone's just setting up for that second lap. Scott Healy, though, using that first lap to his advantage with a 26.366. I believe that'll put him up in the upper echelon of the top 5, maybe. As Raymond Root comes across the line with a 2.55, put him up into 4th position. Mike Burnett sets a 26.279. Should put him about 5th or 6th position there. Pretty good lap from the 39 machine, as Scott Healy going to set a 26.3 flat, put himself up into 6th position. And this should be our final group here, Robert Lawrence and Patrick Gitter.
Keeping an eye on a couple of other drivers who have yet to qualify. Robert Lawrence is next. Patrick Gitter in the number 21, part of the Team Conti organization, a new setup shop that just came online as of the 2024 Season 1 build, as well as I believe we're waiting on one more driver. Nope, those are the last 2 drivers who have yet to qualify, so we will see who goes to the top of the board after this. Dustin Hall currently holds the time with a 26.174.
Yeah, that Team Conti Sim Performance shop, brand new shop, as you mentioned. They are a quite popular shop, as well as I've seen a lot of teams flocking to their setups, knowing that Team Conti is no longer a part of EPI and their own setup shop. So looks like people are a very big fan of what that shop is doing. And you know, that we say it a lot on iRacing. It's all about the setup shops. It's like who can do the best in terms of the official races, and it looks like Team Conti is throwing their hat into the ring to see what they can do with their camp.
Here they come as the 23 will get the white flag. Robert Lawrence comes across the line, 26.191. As the 21 will come across the line to get the white flag. One more time for him. And it's a 27.305. So that's actually, you've got a little bit of work to do here on this matter. Let's see what happens.
Coming through turns 3 and 4, Robert Lawrence, the 23 truck, looking for a very good time here. He already set a 191. Will he improve on that? I don't believe he did.
He will not.
Still a 191.
25.1 will be for Robert Lawrence. What about for Patrick Gitter? He comes across the line at 26.196. Good enough for P3. So for Dustin Hall will be your pole sitter for tonight's action here at Phoenix Raceway.
Remember, Dustin Hall is the setup builder for this series, so he looks like he's wrangling his setup into the pole position, as you said. At about 200ths of a second over second place, Robert Lawrence, and Patrick Gitter coming out in third with that 26.196 that he just set, and should be a very enthralling race tonight.
Very much indeed. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup here for tonight's racing action once we get everything approved. As we wait for a couple of things here, we're going to give them a few moments to get things set up before we go racing and make sure everything's approved. But a very exciting qualifying effort here for tonight. As we'll give them a minute here to make sure everything's good to go. We'll set the grid and give you your starting lineup. But Nick, Dustin Hall, Team Conti, GG, they definitely are showcasing their skills here tonight as they took the top 3 spot, or at least 2 out of 3 spots here in the top 3.
Yeah, they took all 3 top spots tonight, and I believe 4 of the top 6 spots as well. So that Team Conti group really showing that they have the base to be able to compete in a league as stacked as this. I mean, you got names like Patrick Gitter, Dustin Hall, Raymond Root. A lot of those names you see in the top split races, and really the guys that you just see doing really good on whether it be the world records charts, the official race points. I mean, yeah, I believe Patrick Gitter may have finished 6th or 7th. I don't remember exactly, but I think he was 6th or 7th in NIS points for this year. So there's a lot of good drivers in that game.
A lot of big field of drivers. Looking forward to seeing what they can do here tonight, as we should be getting the field gridded up and ready to go here in a couple of seconds. And we will get started with tonight's racing action here live on Grid Vision. We're happy to have you with us here. Make sure you like and subscribe and tune in for more great content that we have here on Grid Vision as we move closer and closer to the 2024 campaign.
Well, why don't we go through some picks here? Picks for the race. What are you thinking tonight?
Oh, that's a tough one, I have to say, because you can't go wrong with drivers like Brandon Edstrom, who's been the dominant factor all season long for the most part. But I have a feeling someone like Patrick Gitter, the newcomer, will be coming in and showcasing a lot of speed. And of course, you can't go wrong with the driver of Dustin Hall, who built the setups here, of course, and he's already set it on the pole position.
You know, I'm going to go with a bit of an oddball pick here. I'm going to go with the 33 Corey Saucier. I like what he's been doing over the last few weeks or so. He's been really consistent in that 33 truck. I mean, he had the 2nd place at Talladega. He had a really good shot at winning that race, but unfortunately just got side drafted right at the end and ended up losing by just over 0.03 of a second. So I really like what he's doing. He's been one of the more consistent guys out there, and just been one of the more consistent drivers out there. And our producer says he's taking Dakota Jorgensen. Bit of an oddball pick there, starting outside the top 10. He's got some work to do, but we'll have to see what he can do tonight.
And with that, here is your starting lineup. On the pole position, we just pointed out, is Dustin Hall, followed by Robert Lorenz in 2nd place. Patrick Gitter is in 3rd, with Philip Henry in 4th. Corey Saucier is in 5th, with Raymond Root in 6th position. Mike Burnett, Scott Healy are in row 4, and rounding out your top 10 is Thomas Wolfe and David Duke.
Our producers picked Dakota Jorgensen starting in 11th position tonight, with Blair Holloman to his outside. Thomas Wolfe and David Duke taking up the 12th and 13th positions tonight, with 14th going... Oh, wait, no, I'm in the wrong place. 13th position going to Christopher Burnham, with Brandon Edstrom starting in 14th position. Alan Pajari, 2nd race in for him, starting 15th. Rabios Jr. 16th. Dave Foods Jr. in 17th. And that's going to round out your field tonight.
And with that, it is time to let loose and have some fun here, this Diamond in the Desert, as we get ready to go racing once again at Phoenix Raceway for the final time in this season. And we will see who is able to improve on their runs in the championship. Could we see the driver of none other than Brandon Edstrom and your points leader struggle tonight? And could we see some new faces go up towards the top of the leaderboard? We're about to find out. Benny the Pace Car driver is about to lead them off. All 17 drivers ready to go.
Yeah, this is officially the start for the start of the chase for the championship. There's no playoff system in this league, so these guys really having to rely on how many points they can score throughout the season. But 3 late races left, including tonight at Phoenix, next week. I believe they're at Richmond next week. I could be wrong on that. And then to finish off the season, they're going to be at Michigan. So a very difficult set of schedules coming here. Excuse me, they're at Rockingham next week, not Richmond. Too many R's.
And we'll give them a few minutes here to let them release out onto the track. We'll see what happens.
As pace car starts to roll, Dustin Hall and Robert Lawrence going to be leading these guys to the green flag. Now, remember, there is the only one pace lap here. I don't know if they're going to extend it to give us a couple of extra pace laps, but normally you only get the one, and you're going to be starting fairly quickly after this is all over, as the pace car is going to be pulling off here in about 15 seconds.
And this is the shortest pit pace truck car lap here. We'll see. Before you see Benny, the pace car driver, already pulling in down on pit road. And now we have the long wait as Dustin Hall and Robert Lawrence lead them down the back straightaway pretty much, and then into turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, this restart, this is one of the longest crawls in NASCAR, just waiting to get to that restart zone. You're sitting at 40 miles an hour as you head into turn 3 towards the restart zone.
Heading into the restart zone, Barney the Flagman will have the green flag in hand. It's time to go racing in the tether. Green flag is out. We're underway here for the SSRL Truck Series at Phoenix.
Really only seeing one car go down onto the apron, being the 74 of Brandon Edstrom, but I'd be curious to see if we see that apron being used at all like we see a lot in real life, as we're already under caution.
And trouble for the 91 of Thomas Wolfe.
There's another car involved in that as well. I think it may have been Philip Henry. Oh man, Philip Henry all the way down on the apron. I believe he may have been using the apron as well in the corner. Doesn't look like it works very well. Oh no, that was a 24 Dakota Jorgensen involved in that.
There goes Starry Pick.
The producer's pick already being involved in the wreck. That is not good fortunes there for our producer, as he has had a horrible run when it comes to his picks for the race.
Well, let's see here as we'll get ready to go racing, and the field already lined up back behind Benny the pace truck driver.
Oh man, you gotta love our producer being able to do that on one tap. That was hilarious.
Amazing.
That was hilarious.
As we'll take a look here and go back live and already see the field lined up. Hopefully we'll have a quick caution lap, and then we will see the famous cone machine out on the track to restack them up and choose the line. Of course, it's pretty safe to say when they take the green flag, they're going to be 4 and 5 wide heading through the dog leg.
Oh yeah, this is where we're going to see things start to get a little bit aggressive. They got through that first start and really figured out what the car's going to do on the initial restart. Of course, it doesn't look like that apron works very well, as it does in real life. So it's good to learn those things early, but unfortunately, when you end up in the wall, it's kind of hard to learn anything else throughout the rest of the race. I believe we are still waiting on the ever-famed iRacing Choose car. I mean, of course, people are used to the Choose cone from real-life NASCAR, but the SSRL Truck Series taking a bit of a different approach to it when it comes to the Choose car, which, if you do not know what that is, it being a bright orange next-gen or NASCAR next-gen car that sits in the middle of the track, and if you manage to hit the Choose car, then not only are you going to get an EOL for hitting the Choose car, but you're also going to have some pretty bad damage as well.
And we'll see what happens here as they work their way over through turns 3 and 4. And we'll see who makes the decisions here out on the track. And it looks like another lap before they will decide.
Matter of fact, I still have not seen the Choose car pop up on track at all, so maybe a little bit of technical issues possibly for the Choose car, unfortunately. I wonder if they're planning on extending the... Oh, Choose car just popped up. It should be rolling now. There it is. There's the bright orange Choose car we've all known to come to know and love.
Here.
It says Choose cone now. Let's go. They changed it from Choose car to Choose cone.
So he will make his way around. There's the famous choose cone.
I can't wait for people to say we're idiots for thinking that's a cone, because you know there's the internet troll.
Well, you know what? It says it on the back. So it's a choose cone.
There's the cone for you internet trolls.
There it is.
I am so glad people cannot hear our producer over live feed, because he just says some of the weirdest stuff.
He certainly does, but we still love him.
Love is a strong word.
Tolerate would be a better one.
There you go. That's better. Yeah, we. If you couldn't tell, we like bullying our producer. It's fun. It's fun.
As they now come through over towards turn 3-4, and it looks like they're gonna go around. Technically, they're gonna get the green flag by the looks of it. Nope. I don't see the pace. There's pace car. He's back out on the track, so they let him go one more time. And if someone... Okay, so no one hit the choose cone, so thank goodness on that. So no penalties, no damage. We're good to go.
Yep, good to go for this next restart, as we're going to see the pace car. Barney, do you call it Barney the pace car driver?
So Barney is the flag man. Benny is his brother.
Oh, okay. Benny and Barney. Okay, I got it now.
Yes,
I knew there was Barney the flag man. I didn't know who Benny was. I was a little bit confused on the lore of iRacing here.
Yeah, Benny is the pace car driver.
Yes, there is lore in iRacing. Newsflash.
There is lore, just like you can find Steve Myers and Dale Earnhardt Jr. somewhere on this track, and every track that's on the iRacing service. You just gotta look hard enough. As they get the green flag from Barney the Flagman, and already Dustin Hall shot out of a cannon and will continue on his way as they try to go 3 and 4 wide down into the dogleg, heading off into turn 1, 7 laps up on the board.
Dustin Hall getting another really good restart. He's really seemed to figure out the restarts here with this new oval refresh, and looks like a lot of people are just kind of feeling their way through, as we're already seeing Brandon Edstrom, knowing him not one to really back off and just sit there and learn. He's going to be sitting at 3 wide down the backstretch, just looking for any positions he can. But as I was getting ready to mention, I do expect a lot of people to really just kind of calm down and really learn how the track's going to handle as it changes, with rubber being laid down, temperatures changing with how the weather's going to change, and all the other factors that you have to keep in mind when it comes to this new oval refresh.
Yeah, a lot of things are going to have to be played out through this event as they work their way through the middle of turns 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, I should say. Coming out of turn number 4, it's already now a battle for second as Philip Henry tries to go down to the bottom of the racetrack to get around Patrick Gitter, and will complete the pass as here comes Robert Lorenz trying to send it in deep to get around the outside of Gitter. Not going to work as we ride on board with the Chevrolet of Philip Henry.
Philip Henry off the front end here, chasing down the 2 truck of Dustin Hall. Of course, he's the setup builder for this league, as mentioned before, so he may have a little bit of advantage when it comes to how this race is going to play out, because he knows exactly how the setup's going to handle throughout the entirety of the run, whereas some other people may not have had the amount of time or the amount of effort put into running the laps and getting as much practice on this setup as possible as Dustin Hall would. But back in the field here, this is the 39 of Mike Burnett. I can't quite catch who that is. I believe that may be David Duke in the 78. We're side by side for just a moment, as right behind them, Brandon Edstrom sending a dive bomb on the 33 of Corey Saucier.
As they work their way through side by side a little further back there, you see Saucier trying to work his way through. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Philip Henry to the inside of Dustin Hall as they battle for the race lead out of turn number 2. New race leader is Philip Henry by half a car length as he tries to keep it going, but they're still going to go side by side, and now Henry clears him into 3.
But Dustin Hall setting up for the switchback here. It looks like he may have almost gotten it there, but Philip Henry closing the door and parking the bus. Looks like it's going to be Philip Henry down into turn 1. Dustin Hall right on his bumper, though. Hall's going to put the air on the bumper of the 25 car of PB Henry. But Henry says, no, sir, this is my position. You can just stay in second for a little bit longer.
I think he's going to have to hold on and stay in position for the time being as they work their way around the circuit. And there you see one driver up right against the wall. That's the, I believe, the number 10 machine of Blair Holloman in the Toyota, trying to work his way up through the field.
Blair Holloman really testing out the other lines here, all the way up to the wall here in turns 1 and 2. It really seems to like it's sticking, so that's a bit of a surprise, as we're not used to the outside line really working at a track like Phoenix. We're really used to it being a bottom feeder track, but you know, that is something we're gonna have to get used to with this over refresh, as different lines are really starting to come into play now. As some of these tracks that we know as single file tracks like Bristol or even Phoenix or Richmond Raceway could really have some other lines come into factor, kind of like what we see in real life a lot. So, like I said, this is going to be a learning curve for a lot of these guys.
Here they come as we ride on board with Raymond Root from, of course, Virginia, trying to see if he can get to the inside of the 23 of Robert Lawrence. He's going to try to send it down through the dog leg, really trying to send it deep, but not able to make it clear on Robert Lawrence side by side for position as Lawrence stays tucked up on the outside.
You know, I've been watching on board with someone of Raymond Root, and he's doing something a little bit different than these other guys seem to be doing. He's dipping a tire below the paint, especially in turns 1 and 2, and it really seems like it's hooking the car around, getting it to rotate a lot better than some other people are getting out of their trucks in turns 1 and 2 here. If we can watch as play with him here, you'll see right here he's going to dip a tire below the yellow, and it's really seems like it hooks his car around the corner.
Really has a good way to lunge off the corner to keep on position here as we continue to watch everyone now getting single file. There's Blair Holloman battling with the 78 machine of course, David Duke, as those two are trying to jockey for position. The 74, Brandon Edstrom's right there in the mix to see if he can get a little further deep into the top 10.
Yeah, Brandon Edstrom, of course, starting 14th tonight. Championship leader seems to be having a bit of a rougher race, at least to start tonight. We're not as used to the oval refresh as some others. Blair Holloman almost hitting the wall there, but doesn't back out of it and does get the position over the 78 of David Duke. Now that's going to allow Brandon Edstrom to maybe look to the inside of the 78 here. And this is going to be the dogfight that we always talk about. It's just this middle of the pack is where everyone's just fighting position all night, as you see the 64 of Scott Healy sending it all the way down to the apron towards the wall.
Keeping an eye on the field of drivers here as the 39 machine also in the hunt. That's Mike Burnett. He's having a good fight as we watch the 11 of David Fuge Jr., who sits in 15th at the moment.
Dave Fuge Jr., of course, owner of the Spartan Sim Racing League Truck Series. He's got a ton of divisions going. I believe they have a Cup and an Xfinity League going right now alongside the Truck Series. And I had the chance to speak with him before the season started, and he's mentioned multiple times he wants to have every division of oval racing possible next year. He wants to have super late models, ARCA, Gen 4 Cup, trucks, Xfinity Cup, everything you could think of that you can race on the oval side of iRacing. He wants to have a league for next year. So quite ambitious from the league owner, Dave Fuge Jr., but if anyone can do it, I know he can.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what's in store for them in 2024 as we keep an eye on the competitors here. There you see the rest of the field work their way around. How about 3 wide going into turn 3? Edstrom on the bottom, Duke on the middle, and then Holloman up on the top side as they come out of turn number 4 across the line. You're right on board with Brandon Edstrom as he takes away through the dogleg.
It looks like he made clear the 78 of David Duke for just a moment, but Duke able to get into the corner a lot better. But of course, Edstrom getting that hook rotation there on the bottom. He's going to be able to clear the 78 of David Duke, and now Scott Healy looking at possibly attacking David Duke here.
Scott Healy having a good run, trying to see if he can stay in the top 10 as we watch Philip Henry stretching his lead out more over Dustin Hall. It's now kind of plateaued a little bit around the 3.5 to 0.4 of a second, now going into half a second now over Dustin Hall, as they have now stretched it out to about almost 1.2 seconds over Patrick Gitter and Raymond Root.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising, honestly, seeing how hard that PB Henry and Dustin Hall are pushing, because they're about 1/10 of a second faster per lap than the rest of the field, and they seem to be holding that pace, whereas used to, with the old iRacing, the way iRacing used to model how grip was worked with iRacing, you used to fall off pushing that hard after about 20 laps or so, but it really seems like that grip is staying consistent throughout the entire run compared to what it used to be.
And it seems to be the case as we keep an eye on the rest of the field working their way across the start-finish line. 24 laps up on the board, about halfway almost till we get to the stage break as the field works their way through. But Brandon Edstrom and Blair Holloman are really battling on. Of course, these are your top two in the championship, fighting for positions, so every position will count for them in order to try to get that edge on the championship.
Yeah, these guys racing towards that lap 56 stage break. Holloman almost into the wall there, coming up off of turn number 4. It's going to allow Scott Healy maybe to get in on this battle as Edstrom does clear the 10 of Holloman. Holloman, though, sends it around the outside. A little bit of contact between the two as Holloman does get into the wall for just a moment. That's going to allow Scott Healy to get onto the attack of the 74, Brandon Edstrom. Things do single file out, though, but things already starting to pick up here for about the top 10 positions.
Field really trying to battle hard and jockey for position as 4 cars, trucks actually battling for those spots inside the top 10 as Scott Healy gets a great run around the outside of Holloman and now looks to the inside of Brandon Edstrom to see if he can get that extra spot.
Now these guys really starting to reel in the 39 of Mike Burnett. He's going to become a part of this Hornet's Nest now as Edstrom really looking for position here, looking for 6th position from the 39 of Mike Burnett. This is where our battle is on track right now as Edstrom all the way down to the wall, as far down as you could possibly get. He's going to clear Mike Burnett into the corner. Scott Healy now going to send it to the inside of the 39 of Mike Burnett. And it looks like Burnett may be dealing with a lot of fall off here on that 39 truck.
39 truck of Mike Burnett really having some decent pace though, as he's trying to hold on. Ooh, big little wobble right there in that package driver. That's going to bring a couple more drivers into the mix. Corey Saucier and David Duke now as they go 3 wide and through the dog leg.
Scott Healy as far down as possible, just like Brandon Edstrom in the lap before. He's going to try to get clear of Mike Burnett, and now maybe even trying to attack Brandon Edstrom for position, as now Mike Burnett getting a good run off the corner, maybe wanting to set up an attacking move into turns 3 and 4, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get down there. Scott Healy maybe going a little bit deep into turns 3 and 4. Holloman all the way up high, trying to defend from the 33. Saucier goes all the way down towards the wall. Man, things are just kicking off here.
Getting into overdrive here as they try to battle for position. Tire wear is starting to fade off a little bit for some of the drivers as after almost 30 laps right now, as trouble right there. One driver comes down pit road.
Who is that? I believe, can't tell who that is. That's 39 of Mike Burnett.
What issues might have
maybe trying to split the stage in half possibly. Oh, I believe it's the fuel window is open. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I forgot green flag pit stops were a thing for just a second. As fuel window should be open now. Of course, at 1.5 tracks, we're used to the fuel window being about 26 to 30 laps, and now that we're at a mile length racetrack, it should be the fuel window being around 30 to 35 laps here. So we should start to see a lot of people coming down pit road here within the next few laps.
Yeah, we should be seeing that play out here, and we should see a couple more drivers work their way through. Who will join the rest of the field as they come down onto pit road? No one this time as far as our front runners, as everyone's jockeying around for position and running their line inside the top 5. How about a big send by Dustin Hall? He goes way wide up the racetrack.
Trying some different lines there in that 2 truck. It really doesn't seem to be the outside being as popular in turns 3 and 4, but one thing I do like is watch what he does here. He runs all the way up next to the wall and tries to cut it back down towards that middle line, and it really seems to be working as he's about a 10th faster throughout the first half of the lap compared to the 25 of PB Henry, and I think he may have just been trying something there with that send towards the outside wall in 3 and 4 as, yeah, I think he learned fairly quickly that it doesn't work like that.
No, it certainly does not. As we ride on board and see how it works out, and he'll continue to stay in 2nd place. Half a second behind your race leader, Philip Henry, as he will come down pit road this time by Patrick Gitter moving up to P2.
Dustin Hall coming down pit road now. I believe there may have been someone else in front of him that come down pit road, but I don't think it was any of our front runners. As here's Blair Holloman, 2nd in the championship points, now coming down pit road, and that should really start to bring down a lot of our midfield runners. I believe I just heard a call out from Scott Healy. I didn't quite catch who it was. I just heard someone say pitting in. So, as it was the 74, Brandon Edstrom, championship leader, coming down pit road now. In front of him, that's the 21 of Patrick Gitter down as well.
So we're starting to see some more drivers. Here comes David Hughes Jr. coming down pit road. Springfield, Vermont's very own, of course, of Edstrom. Fuge from Concord, North Carolina, as the rest of the field starts to make their way into determining who comes down pit road. But for Philip Henry, he's going to keep on trucking and try to see if he can extend that gap a little bit more.
That's the 23 right behind him of Robert Lawrence coming down pit road. Raymond Root coming down as well. I believe that's the 64 Scott Healy locking him up, getting into pit road. He's going to put David Duke up in a second. Corey Saucier, was that Rob Yost sideways off of turn number 2 there in the back?
Could have been, as there you see Rob Yost right there, the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania native.
Mike Burnett there passing him. Of course, Mike Burnett being on fresh tires right now, so it looks like Mike Burnett. Oh, what the? So it looks like Rob Yost Jr. in the 83, making sure everyone knew he was coming down pit road.
Watching the field here and keeping an eye. When will Philip Henry pit is the big question right now amongst our competitors.
I believe he should be in within the next couple of laps here, as that fuel window is definitely getting towards the later stages of these guys who have not pit yet. 27 laps, of course. Oh, here comes Corey Saucier. Man, he was coming in pretty hot into pit road. So Corey Saucier, of course, one of the later guys to stay out. I believe David Duke. Nope, David Duke is still not on pit road. I thought I saw him coming down pit road, but still waiting to see Philip Henry make that sharp turn down towards pit road.
Keeping an eye on some of the other competitors here, and right now it's Philip Henry 6 seconds ahead of David Duke. As there you see David Duke leading the charge with Thomas Wolfe, Alan Pajara, and Drew Proel, who are still yet to pit, as Corey Saucier is one of the newest drivers to come down pit road this time by.
Corey Saucier, of course, going a lap down there due to the pit cycles, and all the way up to 7th position, Raymond Root 1 lap down, and Dakota Jorgensen about 5 seconds from going 1 lap down on pace. 24 car just not having a good race, it seems. Of course, that being Darby's pick, our producer. And man, Darby, how do you feel knowing that your driver's pick is not in contention? Oh man, he's saying that he always makes great picks, and
he's always right.
Sure, we'll go with that. He's trying to defend himself, and it's not doing much. It's not doing
We'll have to have a Grid Vision After Dark where the producer can get involved in the commentary.
That is, oh man, we got a hornet's nest going on back here.
We certainly do.
Alan Pajari, Raymond Root, Blair Holloman, David Duke, Patrick Gitter. A couple of these guys are on old tires, remember? Oh, big wreck in the back.
Trouble in the back half as Mike Burnett and Robert Lawrence get together.
Oh man, that just put everyone who has not pit yet just got really, really lucky. They just got a free pit stop because of that caution. But looking at the replay here, Mike Burnett on those fresh tires with Dustin Hall right in front of him. Oh man, Robert Lawrence getting loose there and hitting Mike Burnett. Of course, our producer thinking Robert Lawrence was my pick when it wasn't.
Technically, it wasn't my pick either. I only picked one. I picked the driver of PB Henry.
Man, I love this banter we got going on here. I wish, there's sometimes I wish that the live feed could hear our producer, and then there's times I wish that they couldn't. And this is one of those times I wish they could, because this is absolutely hilarious. I'm sitting here chuckling. Of course, that caution saving the likes of Philip Henry and their strategy they're running, but just a tough break for the 39 of Mike Burnett. Not really anything he could have done there.
And with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break while we see everyone else come down pit road. But when we come back, we will have more great coverage here of the SSRL Truck Series live from Phoenix Raceway, only on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And look at that. We're back Green Flag Racing here on Grid Vision's coverage of the SSRL Truck Series live from Phoenix Raceway. Taylor Burris, Nick Stein, Austin Derbyshire bringing you all the coverage as where we see David Duke, your new race leader, take charge of the field and already checking out over Alan Pajara, Thomas Wolf. Your top three as Philip Henry's trying to regain control of the race lead as he's having some trouble right there. He's going to fall back.
Philip Henry getting loose off of turn number 2 there. Scott Healy, though, in the back looking for some extra positions. And these guys are getting really, really crazy here as we are coming up to the end of the stage here. Just about 9 laps for the finish of this stage. And you see Brandon Edstrom all the way down to the inside there. 3 wide heading down into turn number 2 as he's now 3 wide with the 23 of, I believe that's Robert Lawrence, and then the 39 of Mike Burnett. Of course, those two being involved in our last caution there just before we went to break.
Really going to be close to see the action here as we see Edstrom trying to push his way up further. He sits 6th position. He wants to try to get into the top 5 before the end of the stage break as they come out of turn number 4 across through the dog leg. He will get the 6th spot. Meanwhile, it's 4 trucks battling for the race lead as Thomas Wolf sneaks his way by to take over the race lead. New race leader Thomas Wolf. David Duke 2nd. Drew Powell in the 3rd position, and Alan Pajara, your top 4.
These are some people we really haven't called on that much this race. Drew Prohl, of course, is a newcomer as well. I believe this is his rookie race as well, so looks like we got a pretty good battle going on for the lead here. Thomas Wolf starting to check out just a little bit. Drew Prohl in the 80 machine trying to run him back down, as now you got the guys on fresh tires and Patrick Gitter and Brandon Edstrom wanting to join this battle.
It's going to be interesting to see how this will play out amongst the competitors here, but Thomas Wolf now has to try to see if he can work his way through. And with that, 50 laps are up on the board, as here comes Alan Pajara. He's going to try to see if he can hold on to that 3rd spot before the end of the stage.
David Duke winning in on this as well. Patrick Gitter peeking to the inside of the 78 machine. Here comes Brandon Edstrom on the outside. David Duke's going to get loose into the inside wall. They keep it green, though, as he's going to pull it back up into traffic. Raymond Root up in the air. Caution on the racetrack.
That's a tough break right there, especially for David Duke, and now he's going to have a lot of damage to that truck.
Oh, man, that's going to hurt as he gets loose and hits the inside wall there. And for whatever reason, pulls it back up into the track. Raymond Root getting into the air.
There we go. Get another look at this here as they come off the corner, and right there in front of the field, boom, big contact, and of course the new damage model coming into play.
Oh man, that was a hard wreck there for a lot of drivers. Of course, Raymond Root getting up into the air, and of course David Duke just getting lambasted a couple of times there. Oh my goodness.
Yep, there goes the nose of that truck. Of course, it does come back, so we'll see what happens as here comes the field. But for Thomas Wolf, your new race leader once again here, he was able to have a good fight for the lead and take it away from the rest of the field. One of those drivers, of course, was David Duke, who was battling with.
Yeah, David Duke, as we mentioned, he was in for that battle, but unfortunately just getting loose there, and I think he got turned by the 21 to Gitter in that process there. So course, Thomas Wolf now being promoted to the lead. Drew Prohl being promoted up into second. Alan Pajari up into third. Brandon Edstrom in fourth now after having a bit of a rough start. Patrick Gitter, excuse me, getting up into fifth position because of that. And yeah, man, that was a tough break there for the 78 of David Duke.
It certainly was, but for now, we'll see the field now get behind the pace car of Benny. And let's see. The question is going to be, are we going to go ahead and race this under till the end of the stage or consider this to be the end of stage 1?
I'm hoping they let him race it out because we saw how crazy that restart got with 10 laps to go. Now imagine that with 2 or 3 laps to go. So I'm kind of hoping they deuce into green here, but leave the choose car or cone or whatever you want to call it. I believe it is on track right now, so I think they're going to let him go ahead and go green here.
It's like they have just called it green next time by for the field. So we'll see how this plays out for our competitors.
Yeah, they're coming up the choose cone now or coming towards lap 54. So it should be a natural green-white checkered for the stage here. It's going to be going green, coming to lap 55, and of course, stage ends at the end of lap 56. So it's going to get kind of wild here for the stage when Thomas Wolf, of course, having to hold off a ton of people on fresh tires, mainly being Brandon Edstrom and Patrick Gitter. Just trying, of course, Gitter, a rookie in this series. This is his first race of the season and of his career in the SSRL Truck Series. So let's see if he can cement his legacy, as I believe they may have been trying to do choose cone. Yeah, they did do choose cone there. Sorry about that.
And yes, they did. So we'll see how this plays out here for the race in this stage, and we'll keep an eye on the competitors as we'll see Benny the pace car driver make the hard left turn down onto pit road for a quick break here, or a quick run to the end of stage 1.
Now remember, there is no playoffs in this league, as I mentioned, so this is a very points-heavy league, so you need as many points as you can. So I would not be surprised to see a lot of people that need some points, or some people that don't need points but want points, really trying to get aggressive here at this stage.
Keep an eye on the field here as they work their way into the restart zone to get ready to go back racing once again. As the field heads off into the restart zone, green flag is out. We're back racing, and there you see Thomas Wolf already stretching out with a great margin to take the race lead as they head off into 1.
Drew Prohl there, not really getting a good restart. I don't know if he was lagging back there or what, but that just really messed up a lot of drivers there. As Alan Pajari now trying to get to the outside of the 80 of Drew Prohl, coming up off of turn number 2, side by side still. For second position, Drew Prohl on the inside, Alan Pajari on the outside, and of course right behind him, Patrick Gitter and Brandon Edstrom on those fresh tires. Is Brandon Edstrom going to send it 3 wide? As caution on the racetrack. I believe that maybe for the stage is the 91 of Thomas Wolf's going to win.
That is for the end of stage 1 here, and with that, Thomas Wolf will get those bonus points indeed. As Robert Yost will get the final stage point here for getting the 10th spot.
Oh, pace car's doing some drifting there coming up off of turn number 2.
Benny's got to have a little bit of fun on the track.
Yeah, Benny doing some drifting at a $120. Yeah, that's totally fun.
I mean, he is the most talented race car driver in iRacing, I have to say.
I mean, I will say Benny the pace car driver has led a ton of laps, especially some short tracks. So, yeah, you do have to have your fun as a pace car driver, I guess, sometimes.
He certainly does. He's led the most laps probably out of any driver on the iRacing platform. He's probably got some of the most wins, depending on if races end under caution or not.
I can almost guarantee he doesn't have the most wins on iRacing. There's no way that many races have ended under caution. I flat out refuse to believe that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got to remember we've only had the green-white checkered scenario available for the past couple of years, though, Nick. So, yeah, he probably stacked up some wins leading up to this.
That's fair. I'll give you that one. Producer going, he's our Richard Petty, man. Some of the things you say, Darby. Some of the things you say.
Keeps it entertaining.
Keeps me from losing my mind sometimes, but other times he makes me want to lose my mind as well. So
Watching on here as we see a couple of drivers come down on pit road. Patrick Gitter is one of those. Philip Henry, another. Corey Saucier. Pretty much everyone inside the top four, outside the top three, has come down pit road. As there you take a look at the exciting detail that iRacing provides, where it showcases even the famous cactus here at Phoenix Raceway that lights up.
Yeah, one of the best additions when it comes to the complete renovation that Phoenix Raceway underwent in 2021. A light up cactus, following the likes of Texas Motor Speedway and Daytona International Speedway with structures that can announce cautions to the fans. Of course, Texas Motor Speedway having the light up catch fence when a caution comes out, and then Daytona, of course, having the two pylons at the scoring tower being able to go green and turn yellow when green flag and yellow flags come out.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting and fun to see how this plays out. And some of the extra detail, it says, here comes, of course, the great Jordan Salyers, our choose cone, as we'll see who decides to go where. And, ooh, a couple of drivers already going to the outside lane. Some drivers staying inside. And, oh, close call right there by Mike Burnett as he almost hit the cone.
Oh man, these guys are getting real confident with how close they want to get to the choose car there. As over the last couple of weeks, we've seen it get very, very close.
Yes, indeed, we have seen it get very close, and we're going to hopefully not see an incident happen. Thankfully, we have not had one happen here with this series. As Benny the pace car driver makes the hard left turn down onto pit road, and now they make the long run towards the restart zone.
Just that ever slowing crawl towards the restart zone. Of course, I believe pace speed is set at 40 miles an hour here, so it feels like forever before you're able to get into that restart zone and get going. Of course, Thomas Wolfe going to have control over this restart. Dustin Hall sitting in second position. Drew Prohl and Philip Henry taking up row 2.
And as they work their way through row 3, it's, of course, going to be Patrick Gitter and Alan Pajara. Green flag is out, and there he is, you're right on board with Philip Henry. He will hunt down the rest of your field as he tries to get back into the race lead.
Thomas Wolfe, though, in the 91, pulling out a pretty good lead there as he's going to get about 7 or 8 car lengths. Is 3 wide for 4th position here. Patrick Gitter in the middle. Got PB Henry as Drew Prohl's going to get into the wall off of turn number 2. That's going to stop the 3 wide moments for just a second as, oh man, Prohl getting a little bit aggressive going into turn 3. He's going to keep it straight, though. Is Philip Henry going to go and cut off the nose of Brandon Edstrom as they head towards the apron? Going to get a little bit tight here, coming out down into turn number 1.
Everyone's already minding their P's and Q's. 3 wide as they come out of turn number 2. Oh, one driver scrapes the wall. That had to be, I believe, was that Alan Pajara or was that Drew Prohl, who had issues coming off of turn 2? I couldn't quite catch it. I think it was Drew, as they now cross-chop the nose right there. Patrick Gitter really getting in front of Philip Henry as he tries to hold the position.
Yeah, that was Drew Prohl coming off of turn 2. I believe he got on the wall there again on the entry of turn 1. 3 wide once again as, oh, Drew Prohl's going to smack the wall coming off of turn 2. That's going to allow Brandon Edstrom to go through the middle, and he's going to get 2 for the price of 1.
Drew really trying to get his way through, showcasing some talent here in this stage, but he's got to be careful not to overextend it as he tries to hold position inside the top 10, as now we see Patrick Gitter move up to P3, Edstrom 4, Philip Henry, your top 5.
First time being in the top 5 for the 74 Brandon Edstrom tonight as he's in 4th position as we have a caution on the racetrack.
Trying to see. Oh, Corey Saucier.
Oh, there goes my pick. Uh-oh. See what happened here on the grid vision replay. He's heading down into turn 1. Does he just get loose here? Or is there a little bit of contact from the 39 of Mike Burnett?
Contact.
Ouch. Then where did he get that damage from? Because it looks like he may have had a little bit of extra damage from somewhere. Into turn 1 here. Is it just this boot that he gets hit? Oh, there may have been a little bit of neck code involved with that. So, take that, Darby.
And with that, Corey Saucier will go back towards the back end of the field as he is currently sitting 12th position right now. As
there was neck code, so ha! I don't think we're going to see very much activity on pit road here as We are only about 4 or 5 laps removed from the last pit cycle. Of course, that being the stage yellow, so I don't think we're going to expect too many people coming down pit road. As these guys, once again, going to just make that slow crawl around these pace laps. Is going to let the 24 Dakota Jorgensen by. And hey, look at that. There's Darby's pick finally getting back on the lead lap.
And there you see Jorgensen going around to get himself back up on the lead lap and get himself ready to try to see if he can go back at it once again.
You know, one thing I find struggling here, especially when you get a few cautions back to back to back, is kind of run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we get to a little bit of a better run later on in this race here. We'll see how this plays out amongst our field of drivers. Hopefully they'll be able to now get back into a rhythm to wrap this one up and put on a good show at the finish.
I'll tell you what, though. I got something to talk about. Have you been able to try any of the new content yet? Of course, being the 2 new tracks.
I have not been able to try out any of the new content yet at the moment, but I have to say, though, it looks really amazing, I have to say.
Yeah, I've been able to try out the new Audi the R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2, and that car is a lot of fun. I genuinely, I'm not one that races GT3s much, so you got to keep that in mind, but I genuinely enjoy driving that car. And of course, I was able to try out the Mugello circuit that was released with this new update, and that track is an absolute blast as well.
I know a lot of people have been enjoying the brand new Slinger Speedway as well as part of the new content released on the iRacing platform with its oval and figure 8 configuration. So 2 figure 8 tracks that we have here on the iRacing platform, both here at, of course, at Slinger and also at Irwindale.
Yeah, I bought Slinger. I have not been able to try it though, so I think that's going to be on my list of things to do after we finish here tonight. As Slinger looks like such a fun track to drive. As ooh, man, Thomas Wolf getting a little bit close to that choose car.
A little close for comfort. But yeah, of course, if you want to have your chance to get on board, of course, iRacing is having a sale going on for those who are new to iRacing. If you are having already an account with iRacing, you had missed out on the Black Friday sale that ended back at the end of November. So this is going to be interesting to see how this will play out amongst the field of drivers as they get themselves ready to go once again here at Phoenix Raceway.
A little bit of deja vu here as Thomas Wolf leading Dustin Hall, Patrick Gitter, and Brandon Edstrom to the green flag. Here's the carbon copy of what we saw last restart.
Here comes the field now as they make their way into the restart zone. It's Thomas Wolf, Dustin Hall, and Brandon Edstrom, your top 3. As we keep an eye to see who will come out on top as they have 67 laps up on the board.
Thomas Wolf getting another really good restart here as green flag back in the air here at Phoenix Raceway. Of course, Brandon Edstrom getting a really good restart there. Now side by side with Dustin Hall through turns 1 and 2 here at Phoenix Raceway. Going to be using that high line to its fullest advantage. Will he get a good run off the corner? Or will Dustin Hall squeeze him as Dustin Hall gets a little bit loose? Now he's going to be looking for an attacking move here towards the inside as, well, he wasn't able to get to the inside of the 91 of Thomas Wolf, but Brandon Edstrom fighting back really hard on that outside.
He's riding very hard as Edstrom now tries to get second away. Not going to do so right away as they're going to have a hard-fought battle for the position.
Edstrom all the way up towards the wall. He's going to get a really good run off the corner. An amazing run off the corner as Dustin Hall got really loose there. Now Edstrom to the inside. The 91 of Thomas Wolf blocks the run. As Edstrom still trying to get that run. Thomas Wolf, contact between the 2 leaders. Thomas Wolf hard into the inside wall. Caution on the racetrack.
Tough break right there for the 91 machine as Thomas Wolf is voicing his displeasure right now to Edstrom.
Oh, man, this is going to be a spicy replay to look at here as Edstrom gave him a bump off the corner, and then Edstrom goes down to the apron. Ooh. That's an interesting one to call there.
I'm pretty sure officials will be taking a look at that situation right there.
Man, I really can't place blame on that one. I'm not sure. Maybe get an onboard view from both angles and kind of see what transpired here. As Edstrom gave Thomas Wolf a bump off the corner. And And it looks like Thomas Wolf may have came down just a little bit there, as Edstrom may have been trying to go for the apron, whereas Thomas Wolf was doing the exact same thing. This will be a good view.
Yeah, it looks like he kept it straight right there, I have to say, Nick, on this matter. So we'll have to wait and see what the officials will say on the matter.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting call there. I want to get an onboard view from Edstrom if possible. Oh, that paints a different story there.
Certainly does.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on that from the race control point of view. Yeah, that look on board here.
Yeah, that's going to be, I have to say, some official going to have to get involved with that matter.
Yeah, I think that may get a little bit interesting post-race. Of course, one of the new updates with the new season is you're able to hand out penalties even after results have posted, so maybe some extracurriculars going on post-race to see what all is going to happen there. As it was quite the interesting situation to have to deal with there.
Indeed. So we'll keep an eye on that here as we watch and keep an eye on the rest of the field as we take a commercial break. 72 laps up on the board out of the 112. So closing in on just about, I'd say maybe 40 laps to go left in the race. So we'll be right back after more on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible.
Welcome back to Grid Vision's coverage of the SSRL Truck Series as we are green flag racing once again. Brandon Edstrom leads him to the green flag as we're back underway here, and he's already checked out to a couple of truck length lead over Dustin Hall and Patrick Gitter as Dave Fuge Jr. right there in the mix.
Dave Fuge, not a name we've called that much tonight, as he's trying to get back up into this top 5 battle here, as now Dustin Hall starting to pull back in Edstrom a little bit, still keeping our eyes on the side-by-side battle here between Dave Fuge and Mike Burnett in the 39 truck.
Working their way through side-by-side battle for position. A little more close calls right there a little further back as they make the run to turn 1, 3 wide. Now back to 2 wide as the 64 of Scott Healy really trying to be aggressive getting his way up through the field.
Scott Healy been having a bit of a tough race tonight. Not really where he wants to be, which is the north side of the field. He's been down in the bottom parts of the top 10 towards the top 15 most of the night. It looked like for just a moment he was going to try to follow Brandon Edstrom throughout the majority of the field, but just wasn't able to keep up with that 74 truck. As now he's looking to maybe get in front of, I believe that's the 80 of Drew Prohl there.
Drew Prohl is trying to hold on to position a little further back as he's trying to battle with Scott Healy. As Mike Burnett's trying to go up a couple of spots up further up the road here as you ride on board with Dave Fuge Jr. And now back on screen watching him as he tries to hold off the two drivers closing in.
Got a little bit of a spicy battle building up here as now PB Henry looking to get in on this battle. Maybe thought about sending it 3 wide between 64 of Scott Healy and the 80 of Drew Prohl, but didn't look like he really had the run to be able to keep up with those two for just the moment. As now Scott Healy looking to the inside of the 11 of Dave Fuge Jr. right in front of this. As now looks like Scott Healy may have backed out of it. Now Drew Prohl with the opportunity to get to the outside of the 64 of Scott Healy. That doesn't work either, as now Scott Healy all the way to the inside wall. 3 wide. Oh, contact between the two.
Contact, and they keep it going here for the moment as Scott Healy tries to get underneath the driver of Dave Fuge Jr. Can't quite make it work. Mike Burnett on the top side as they make the run down over to turn 3 and 4. Nose to tail. Big send by Drew as well as Philip Henry as they try to close in.
Side by side all over the place for this battle for the top 5 is Dave Fuge and Mike Burnett side by side. Scott Healy all the way getting as close to that wall as he can. Pulling it up in front of the 25 of PB Henry. And now Scott Healy looking to the middle here. Not really any room for him there as he's going to be side by side with Mike Burnett. Burnett going to give a bump draft to the 11 of Dave Fuge. Try to keep that outside line going side by side still between him and Healy.
A little bit of beating and banging, bumper to bumper here as they come out of turn number 4 across the start-finish line here. Drivers just trying to jockey for position as here comes Healy. He'll look to the inside, complete the pass on Burnett, and now sets his sights on Dave Fuge Jr. for 4th position.
As you say that, Mike Burnett may be coming back. He's going to get a little bit tight off of turn 2 and really hurt his chances and maybe getting back at Scott Healy. He's going to block the 25 of Philip Henry. Gave a little bit of a bump to the 64 Healy there. Got a little bit lucky there. Philip Henry definitely feeling a bit generous.
He certainly is, as Philip Henry will continue on his way, and Brandon Edstrom leads the charge, but here comes the two Team Conti drivers of Hall and Gitter. They are really trying to close in quickly.
Yeah, this top 3 has pulled almost 2 seconds worth of time over this battle for 4th position here between a few different drivers, and I think that battle for the lead is really going to pick up here in just a moment, but eyes still on this battle is now Scott Healy working on the 11 at Dave Fuge Jr. So it looks like he's going to complete the pass on the 11.
Here, Scott Healy holds the 4th spot, and he's got a train of drivers right there. He is basically the cork in the bottle. I hate to see what happens if someone gets past him. Will that cork explode? And continue on to see if anyone can hunt down your top 3.
The top 3 really seeming to pull time now as that gap is already starting to creep up upwards of 2 seconds there between Healy and Gitter, as it is sitting at about 2.1, 2.2 seconds, just kind of fluctuating between Healy and Edstrom. So yeah, it looks like this battle for 5th has calmed down just a little bit. Battle for the lead here though, as Dustin Hall, he's been slowly closing in on the 74 of Edstrom, so I'll have to see if he can get up to the rear end of that 74 and maybe make a charge for the lead here.
He's going to try to make a charge here. He'll look to the inside and try to see it, but Edstrom closes the door as they come out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway.
Edstrom put a ton of dirty air onto the nose of the 2 there by coming down as aggressively as he did, and look how much time that lost Dustin Hall. That lost him almost 2/10 there. As looking at the lap comparisons here, Brandon Edstrom is at about 1/10.5 quicker than the 2 of Dustin Hall. I don't think Dustin Hall is quite falling off yet, but I think Brandon Edstrom's just that good coming up off of turn number 2, whereas Hall seems to be a bit better in turns 3 and 4, and it really looks like that gap is starting to close between Healy and Gitter.
It's starting to indeed, as Healy is now under 2 seconds and closing now on Gitter, as Gitter's starting to fall back a little bit.
There's my pick. Corey Saucier may be making a move here, trying to get back up in front of the 11 at Dave Fuge Jr. and try to join this battle for 4th position here. Take that, Darby. My pick's back up in the top 5.
Watching on here as Gitter tries to get a good run. Philip Henry having a strong run. Corey Saucier tries to see if he can find his way back around and get into the top 5.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of work to catch up to the 25 of Philip Henry. It's like about a second gap between the 33 and the 25, so he's got a little bit of work to do, but Pace definitely starting to pick up there as now we got a little bit of a battle. Here would be some help for Corey Saucier as it looks like Scott Healy and PB Henry looking to start a battle here for position as Philip Henry may be hanging back a little bit off the 64 Scott Healy, just trying to bide his time a little bit as we're within 25 to go.
Here we go. Here comes a big run by Philip Henry to get around Scott Healy here. He's closing in quickly. Last time by, he was about a tenth faster, and he's really trying to put the hammer down and get around as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Patrick Gitter, he's trying to see if he can find a way around his teammate, Dustin Hall.
Dustin Hall and Patrick Gitter, of course, teammates at Team Conti Sim Performance, so I wonder if there may be a little bit of team orders. Dustin Hall saying, stay behind me, Gitter, I know what I'm doing.
See how this plays out amongst the field as they work their way, but here comes Healy and Henry as we see Hall go to the top of the racetrack. Gitter stays to the bottom.
Dustin Hall cuts the nose off a little bit of the 21 at Gitter, taking that air off the front end of the 21, getting that 21 a little bit tighter. That's going to lose Gitter about 0.2 of a second there, but should be able to build that back up as he has been pulling that gap to Dustin Hall down over the last 5 or so laps.
Keeping an eye here as Healy and Henry closing in closer and closer. Not able to make a run just yet, but they are closing that gap. It's now even closer than last time. It's now down to, well, let's just say half a second now.
Man, they got a little bit close there, Henry and Healy did. I say that 5 times fast. Henry and Healy. As now it looks like, oh man, Healy taking whatever lane there was, Philip Henry that thought he had. As here comes Dustin Hall down pit road.
Dustin Hall coming down pit road. Of course, these drivers have yet pitted in a while. It's been over 30 laps, so we could see some drivers who have not enough fuel to get to the end. And I think it's safe to say everyone doesn't have enough fuel to get to the end. Maybe Dakota Jorgensen, but it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I believe that this is going to be the money stop for a lot of these drivers, as I do believe everyone has to pit. If like as you said, if anyone, Jorgensen maybe, but I do believe he still has to pit as well. As here comes another one, Patrick Gitter coming down pit road. Looks like they're going to do a 20-lap sprint to the end for in terms of strategy. See how everyone else reacts to that. As here comes Dave Foods Jr. He announced he's coming down pit road this time by. Edstrom's coming down pit road as well, as it looks like this is going to be the exodus for pit road for the money stop.
Here they come. As we keep an eye on a couple other drivers, Scott Healy and Philip Henry stay out. As here comes Dave Feuds Jr. coming down pit road. Dakota Jorgensen decides to come down pit road.
What was that, Darby? Is that a little snort I heard from you a few laps ago? Oh man, I love this little chippy battle we got going right now. I can't wait to make fun of Darby when my pick beats his pick tonight.
Keeping an eye on the field here, as there you see the battle for the race lead. Philip Henry, Scott Healy. As Henry tries to even go around the outside, Healy tries to hold on as they come across the line. 17 laps to go.
Healy all the way down towards the wall. It looks like Philip Henry taking the bottom here. Seems like that outside has been a little bit more preferred in turn 1 and 2, but it looks like Henry may have a little bit of a gap here as Scott Healy going to defend to the inside, really try to take that lane away from the 25 of Philip Henry as Henry gets a little bit better into the corner, but it looks like Healy has that run off the corner. As I say that, though, here comes the 25. Will he make a move to the inside? No. Oh, man, that's going to be a fun one. We're going to have pick standings next year to be able to track our picks throughout the year, but we're side by side right now between Brandon Edstrom and Dustin Hall. A little bit further back, that's going to be the battle for 9th.
Keeping an eye on this battle for the 9th position, as well as also keeping an eye on the battle for the race lead. Scott Healy, Philip Henry still leading the charge, but they have to come down and pit. Meanwhile, Patrick Gitter currently sits in 12th position. Dustin Hall in 9th. Brandon Edstrom 10th. So Dustin Hall currently in the camper.
Between the two. Dustin Hall's almost around.
Saves it and continues on his way, but that will open the opportunity for the driver of Brandon Edstrom to get ahead. Let's take a look at the replay.
These two were already getting chippy as through turns 1 and 2 here, Brandon Edstrom was all the way up by the wall. And I think Dustin Hall may have thought he was clear here, but Brandon Edstrom had gotten the run off the corner, and that sent Dustin Hall for a ride. Luckily, he was able to save it.
He was, but that's going to cost him some valuable time here, and we'll see what happens between the competitors as they work their way down across. And now 13 laps to go. Henry and Healy, they kind of talk it out. They're going to try to see if they can just stretch it out and hope for a caution here in these final laps.
That's about their best bet here, as I believe they are pretty deep into this run here. Coming up on that fuel window, they may be able to. They may be trying to fuel save it out here and try to play the long game here and maybe not have to make another pit stop. Healy though, Scott Healy's on lap 35 of his run. Philip Henry on lap 29 though, so I don't think these guys are going to be able to stretch it out. The longest we saw in the first stage though was 37 laps, so it looks like both these guys will have to pit again.
Certainly seems to be the case. Corey Saucier, another driver who has to pit, along with pretty much everyone inside the top 8. Brandon Edstrom, Dustin Hall, Patrick Gitter are the first drivers who have already come down pit road.
Yeah, they may be trying to push as hard as they can to be able to get back up onto the lead lap and maybe have a chance of trying to run these two down once they do pit. But I do believe if Scott Healy and PB Henry do have to pit, that's pretty much race over for these two, as they've already lost too much time to really be able to overcut Brandon Edstrom and the likes of Dustin Hall and Patrick Gitter. Here's the 80 of Drew Prohl coming down pit road, so that's the first of the guys who have not pit. So that pretty much does confirm that everyone still has to pit that's on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's pretty much a end the game right here. We'll see what they can do. They're going to try and stretch it by the looks of it. They have enough gap to keep them out of harm's way for the most part. They have a lap advantage over Brandon Edstrom, who is still quite a ways back.
Yeah, and there isn't enough time for Brandon Edstrom to be able to get his lap back and get around the track once again, as he's still got about a 5 or 6 second gap before he even gets his lap back from Scott Healy.
Well, how about this? Mike Burnett, he's been out there for 46 laps right now.
Oh.
As he's now coming down pit road.
I was just getting ready to say, speak of the devil. He's going to come down pit road and relinquish I believe he was in 5th position at the time of his pit stop, so
46 laps.
Currently, that lap graphic again, real quick. What is that, 39, 40 for Scott Healy?
Yeah, so it's 39 laps right now for Scott Healy. Philip Henry is at 33. Robert Lawrence, 6th position, 31. So we could see some drivers who could pull it off. Possible.
Scott Healy will not be able to make it, I don't think.
No, he's going to be a lap short.
Close. It's going to be real close for Scott Healy, but I do believe Philip Henry should be able to make it on fuel.
Scott Healy's got to save at least another lap in order to make it to the end.
And that's going to be tough. Phoenix, there is a lot of off-throttle time, but it is incredibly difficult to save a lap of fuel in such short time.
It really is, as the field now works its way through. And, of course, you can try to cut the course like you see Scott Healy trying to do. Philip Henry trying to take care of his equipment as they approach some lap traffic up ahead. As there you see the background, Brandon Edstrom trying to see if he can get back around and get on the lead lap. But he is not going to have enough time unless these guys run out of fuel.
Yeah, the best he could realistically do would be 6th position if Robert Lawrence would have to pit. But we do believe Scott Healy still has to come down pit road, so that could be another position for the 74 of Edstrom. Again, we're going to have to see how this plays out for Scott Healy. It's 5 to go now. He's getting real close on that fuel window, as he's now 42 laps into this fuel run. As you said, I believe he's going to be a lap short.
He's got to try to find a way to save that extra fuel, but for Philip Henry, he's looking pretty safe. He's got about a 10-lap cushion by the calculations, now a 9-lap cushion compared to what we saw the driver of Mike Burnett do with 46 laps. Now that's depending on
Healy in the wall.
Trouble for Scott Healy. This could open the door for Philip Henry to take over the race lead as Brandon Edstrom unlaps himself here.
Now, as you said, the only thing that would really turn this race on its head is if we got a late caution here. That could be what Scott Healy is hoping for right here. Maybe get a quick caution so he can get a free pit stop out of it. But the closer and closer we get to that final lap, that white flag, the less and less likely is a little bit of contact between Philip Henry and Scott Healy. I don't think this is how Scott Healy wants the caution, but things are starting to get chippy for the lead.
It really is as they come out through the middle of turn 3 and 4. Popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps to go. They got to make it to the white flag to make sure that they don't get a late race caution unless you are Scott Healy. But Philip Henry takes over the race lead as they head off into turn 1.
Scott Healy on those older tires. It definitely looks like those tires are starting to burn off for the 64 Scott Healy. As I say that, though, he goes for the up and under on the 25 of PB Henry, but doesn't look like the move is there as they're coming towards the white flag.
White flag in the air. One more time around for the driver of Philip Henry and Scott Healy. Can they make it on fuel? Here they come down across the dry oval, heading into turn 1 for the final time. Philip Henry and Scott Healy playing the strategy game when it comes to fuel conservation as they come out of turn number 2.
Scott Healy's out of fuel.
He cannot make it. Corey Saucier moves up to P2, and for Philip Henry, he has enough. He will make it and win here at Phoenix International or Phoenix Raceway. And where does Scott Healy finish? Here he's
gonna fall out of the top 5, maybe.
No, he gets P4.
Wow. Wow. I did not expect Scott Healy to get 4th out of that. We knew he was going to be short on fuel. It was just a question of how short he was going to be. It ended up being about 9 seconds short.
Yep, and how about for Alan Pajara last week? Didn't have the best run at Chicagoland. Comes home with a podium finish.
Definitely a good finish for where that 34 machine is. Now we're going to see the 25 of Philip Henry not only put himself back into the championship battle, but pick up his first win of the season.
Great win, first win for the Legacy Academy team here today in this racing series. As we take a look at the final results, Philip Henry, Corey Saucier, Alan Pajari, your top 3, followed by Scott Healy, Robert Lawrence in the 5th position, Rob Yost Jr., Brandon Edstrom, Dustin Hall, Patrick Gitter, Dave Fuchs Jr. rounds out your top 10.
Finishing in 11th position tonight is going to be Troop Grohl, who unfortunately had to pit there towards the end. And my pick beats Darby's pick. Dakota Jorgensen finishing in 12th position tonight. Mike Burnett finishing 13th. Christopher Burnham finishes 14th, 15th, belonging to Raymond Rue, who got involved in that absolutely humongous wreck earlier in the race tonight. Blair Holloman into 16th, and Thomas Wolf is going to round out the field tonight.
With that, we will, I believe, go to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will sit down and talk to your top 3 finishers here at tonight's action. You are watching the SSRL Truck Series live from Phoenix Raceway, only on Grid Vision. Welcome back to Grid Vision's coverage of the SSRL Truck Series from Phoenix Raceway. We're going to have a chance to talk to our finishing order of the top 3. Joining us first is 3rd place finisher, Alan Pajari. Alan, a great run to come here for your 2nd race of the season, joining us here and comes home with a podium finish. How do you feel about it?
I actually feel pretty good about it. You know, I'm one of the slower guys out there, so had to play a little strategy game, but yeah, I feel pretty good.
I mean, Chicagoland was not the best run, of course, finishing outside the top 10, but What was the difference here, and how does the new updates feel here compared to what we saw last week at Chicagoland?
Um, I can't really tell the difference here in Phoenix. Um, if you want my opinion of the update, I did a 200 lap race at Charlotte last night, and and it seemed to be like you can run multiple lanes. So I would say so far, so good. But to me, it's here. I mean, you've always been able to run multiple lanes. Not it hasn't always been like a inside lane type of track because you can always take the outside and have good runs. So to me, there was no difference here.
Before we let you go, Alan, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I like to thank my wife, my team, Dynamic Auto Sports. Um, like to thank Dustin Hall for this pretty good set. It was a fun set to drive, and of course you guys and the league. So, thank you.
Well, that is Alan Pajari coming home in third position. Next up is going to be Corey Saucier, who comes home in P2. He is with Nick Stein.
Well, man, Corey, you had a bit of a rough race tonight. Of course, you ended up sideways at one point tonight, but you brought it back for a second position in tonight's race. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, pretty good. Phoenix is one of my better tracks. Feel like I run pretty smooth here. We had a really great setup for the night, so didn't matter if it was a long run, short run. Was pretty comfortable all night. Did get little sideways there that one time, but knew we could just had to keep our head straight and bounce back and just work our way through the field, which we did.
Yeah, you did. You definitely did a bit of as I said, a bit of a rough race, but of course, heading into next week at Rockingham, second to last race of the season. How are you feeling for that one, knowing Rockingham is such a tough track?
Yeah, it's going to be a unique challenge. Don't get to run it too often, so definitely going to be pretty challenging for all of us. I think just going to have to put in some practice and see what we can do.
Oh, congratulations on the P2 tonight, Corey. Anyone you got to thank? Who gets it done for you every week?
Yeah, so I got to thank main sponsor Gagny Graphics and Apparel. Check them out, gagnygraphics.org. And want to thank teammates over at Zuyos, Rabios, and Blair Holloman for the continued support. Got a great team. And thanks as always to Dave Fuge and Jordan Sailors for running this league. It's a hell of a league, lots of good guys, and hopefully we continue to grow here.
Congratulations on the P2 tonight, Corey. Hope to see you next week at Rockingham, and good luck for the rest of the season as it is coming towards the end.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And with that, we are now joined by our race winner, Philip Henry. Philip, I mean, you come home with a first win of the season and do it in strategy with coming home with fuel strategy, holding on. And I mean, how close were you?
I was like 5 or 6 laps to the good, but this is actually the second win. I won Bristol about the same way I won this one.
Well, there you go. I mean, look at there, second win of the season for you. That's got to be a big, very boost of momentum going for you, especially with this championship hunt you're in.
Yeah, that was a good race. I wasn't expecting it to be. I knew I was going to be somewhat quick based on the practice. I wasn't expecting a win though, so that was surprising. I was expecting top 5, but not when we ran the first stage and I saw the pace I had versus Dustin and Patrick. I was like, ooh, I probably got this one in the bag. And then cautions kind of fell whichever way, and I was like, if I can just get a little clean air, I'll be okay. So yeah, that was pretty good.
Well, let's get your thoughts a little bit on the new updates. How do you feel like this new oval refresh has been so far since these past couple of days?
This is actually my first race on the new update, and I was a little bit impressed. I would say it was an improvement. Not as big of a change as I was expecting, I guess. So I won't say I was let down, but Phoenix is already kind of iffy. It can be multi groove, but it seemed like it laid the rubber down better, and that was what felt more confidence, and you could really tell where the rubber was.
Well, Philip, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to say thank you to?
Yeah, thank you to Legacy. Thank you to my girlfriend, the family, Henry Boys Racing. can't say enough for them to let me get out in a dirt late model on the weekends and stuff. And so big shout out to them. Yeah, everybody that helps it gets it done.
That is Philip Henry, your winner, two-time winner this season so far in the SSRL Truck Series, and look forward to seeing what he can do as we head to The Rock next Thursday night.
All right, thank you.
Well, Nick, I mean, got to come to you for some final thoughts about how this race was. Pretty decent racing overall, I have to say, for tonight's action.
Oh yeah, tonight was an amazing race. I mean, we had a really insightful race too with how the oval refresh works, and I mean, you can't get much better than that when a race comes down to fuel strategy like it did, and how exciting it got at the end. Of course, with Scott Healy running out of fuel and losing that race in such a heartbreaking fashion. But as I said, man, a very insightful race for how this oval refresh is going to work. And I mean, we saw a lot of multi-groove racing at a track historically on iRacing isn't really known for its multi-groove aspects. So yeah, I think this oval refresh so far is a pretty good success.
It really is. And of course, we have a bunch of racing still to come here in the 2023 year. As of course, the next race for here on Great Division will be next, I believe, Monday night will be the Super Speedway Racing League as we get ready to close out that championship here. And then, of course, the next time we'll be back here for the SSRL Truck Series as we head to Rockingham. But for that, it is time that we say goodnight. For, of course, our producer, Austin Derbyshire, my co-host, Nick Stein, and for all of those at Grid Vision, Brian Britt, Justin Levine, and Austin Edstrom, and so many other great personalities that we have here at Grid Vision, I'm Taylor Burris. Thank you for tuning in to Grid Vision, and we'll see you next time.